Hey boys and girls, it is Coffee with the Goose. Got a special edition for you this time. Little history lesson, if you will, and we'll have more details on this as we go to Fort Clatsop here shortly. We just entered Clatsop County in Oregon, and we'll talk about Lewis and Clark. And now, sweetheart, you've heard about Lewis and Clark because you've heard me talking about them, right?
Yes, because you're talking about it every time.
Every time. So you want me to give you a little brief history lesson on Lewis and Clark?
Sure.
Okay, it's all about American history.
While we're driving
right?
on the way there.
I'll try and keep this as short as I can.
So where did they come from?
Okay, they were both U.S. Army officers, Meriwether Lewis and William Clark. They were good friends, and they led an expedition to discover, if you will, or map out the area surrounding the Missouri River, which of course starts in the Rocky Mountains and ends with its confluence with the Mississippi River in St. Louis. Okay, now what really started this, even though President Jefferson had this plan in motion for quite a while, was the Louisiana Purchase, where the United States purchased enough land to basically double the size of the country in 1803. Now, Lewis and Clark led the expedition, about 25 guys or so, and they had a French fur trader, they had other guys helping out with building the boat and loading it, and helping with the expedition. But really it was Captain Lewis, and here's a little surprise for you.
Captain Lewis, is he
Captain
a captain?
Lewis. He was a U.S. Army captain.
Oh.
And he promised William Clark that he would be a captain too for the expedition.
Who is Lewis Clark? Is he?
William Clark was another Army officer who was a good friend of his. Now, I'll try and make this brief because it's a long story. But the Congress did not agree with that. So Clark was not a captain, he was a lieutenant. Even though Lewis and Clark agreed to tell their men that they were both captains. Now, in the military, and I was in the Army for a few years, you have one leader, okay? You can't have multiple leaders, because then you're going to have lots of disagreements, and you just won't have good leadership. You got to have one guy, but this was a very special case. They both led the expedition, although Lewis was really the leader. They didn't just map the area of the Missouri River, and not just to the source in the Rocky Mountains, but they crossed the Rocky Mountains and went down the Columbia River to the Pacific Ocean, becoming the first white men. White men don't discover anything. They're just the first white men there. But it was a great expedition, brilliant scientific exploration, and social expedition as well, because there isn't just one Indian tribe, one Indian nation in the United States. There's like 500 of them. So every few miles, every 10 miles or so, there's another Indian tribe, another Indian nation. So they had to learn about their social constructs and what their habits were, what they ate, how they fought, all of that. So it was just a brilliant expedition. And only one person died. That was really the amazing part of it. And that guy died.
Out of 25?
In the expedition, which lasted over 2 years through wilderness. Only one guy died, and they think he died of appendicitis.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Oh, look at the view in the real science.
Look at that.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
So anyhow, they spent their first winter in Fort Mandan, which is in North Dakota, along the Missouri River. And their second winter was spent in Fort Clatsop, which is near Astoria, present-day Astoria, Oregon, which is where we're going to go. And, what made these people such great explorers,
I think we're in the mountain now.
We are in the mountains. Was not that they were conquerors. They really weren't, because they were great diplomats. they didn't fight. Oh, there was one little incident fighting the Blackfeet warriors, but that's, you know, you'll have to read the Lewis and Clark journals, which I have many times. It's an absolutely brilliant journey.
How many journal?
The one series of set of journals. They kept notes for over 2 years. So we're going to look at Fort Clatsop here shortly, but there's an abbreviated edition of the Lewis and Clark story.
Elderberry.
Meriwether Lewis and William Clark. Brilliant, skilled, courageous explorers in the early 1800s in the United States, and we'll talk more about that later. All right, there you go. That's it for this edition of Coffee with the Goose, and we'll have more for you shortly. Take care.